Life is never as simple as one answer. You see what I mean? There's not one philosophy or one idea that's gonna allow you to navigate everything in life. You see what I mean? It's not, oh, might is right versus Jesus Christ. That's not how reality works. Reality is always like a fluid thing, and every case is kind of like individual. There are so many different permutations of different steps. You know what I mean? I take this path, I'm going to end up somewhere completely different. It's very like heuristical, and there are so many different permutations out of that. Meaning, you have to adjust your perception of reality, your philosophy, your ideas to the outcome that you want to get. There are different ways of looking at the world, okay? There are different ways of looking at the world. There's very simple minded people look at the world in terms of black and white or A, B, positive, negative. It's either this or that. But that's not how the world works, obviously, right? The world is way more complex. A little bit smarter people begin to understand that everything is conditional and systemic. Systemic means that things influence each other, and there's a feedback loop between different factors. Yeah? If you want to get good at business, if you want to get good at money, if you want to get good at life in general, you have to understand systemic thinking, how a system works. You have to train yourself to think systemically. Yeah? Not systematically, I'm talking systemically. Systemic thinking, crucial. If you want to make real money, if you want to understand business, markets, and all that stuff, systemic thinking is the key. Now, a lot of people will tell you that systemic thinking is the highest level of thinking. It's not. The highest level of thinking, the highest level of understanding is actually holistic thinking. Holistic thinking allows you to choose your lens that you use to look at the world in different situations according to the outcome that you want. Most people want simple answers. It's like, what do I do? And then they don't want to change their worldview. They don't want to change their approach in the next situation. But the world is constantly changing. The world's constantly changing. You're not the same person that you were last week. What do you think is going on with the other person? They're changing too. They're developing. They're changing. But most people are mentally lazy, so they're asking for one recipe. Tell me what to do here. Boom. Tell me this. Tell me that. Boom, boom, boom. Good soldiers, right? Or you could also call them pawns. But it's not as simple as that. Life's not that simple. So what you have to learn is you have to figure out, okay, I'm here. This is the outcome that I want. Now, what path do I take? The path is determined by the lens that you use to look at reality, the approach that you take to look at reality. You see? So what you have to be able to do is you have to see belief, worldview, even emotions as tools. They're just simply tools that you generate in order to look at the world in the right way. And then you will have the right outcome. Okay? So generally speaking, you prefer peace, you prefer diplomacy. You understand that getting along with people is always better than fighting them. Making a friend is always better than making an enemy. Or turning an enemy into a friend is way better than beating the enemy. Usually, right? You could also be very, very understanding of uh, factors that make people bad people, you know? But if a criminal walks up to you and wants your money or wants to kill you, you're not going to think about, oh, what made that person such a bad person. I'm sure that person had a lot of trauma in their life. I'm sure they were raised in a fucked up situation that turned them into a bad person. I'm sure that they were exposed to a lot of violence. But in that moment, that person has to be neutralized. I don't have time to think about that. You see what I mean? So um, the ideas, the worldviews, the lens that you use to look at reality has to be according to the outcome that you want. And this is what we call holistic thinking. And this is actually the highest level of looking at the world, the highest level of thinking, the highest form of philosophy, I would say. People tell you, oh, it's stoicism. People tell you it's Taoism. People tell you it's this and that and the other. Listen, you got to be careful of people who have very, very simple answers to life. They're always lying to you. Either they're fools, they're fucking idiots if they actually believe that, or they're intentionally misleading you, you know, or they're just very, very smart and they know that in order to get people, in order to get followers, in order to get people to follow you, you gotta choose one message. You gotta repeat that message again and again and again and again and again, because people are so insecure and so incapable of thinking for themselves that they're just gonna grab any kind of truth that you give them. And if you say something with a lot of conviction and confidence, they're gonna believe that, and it doesn't matter if reality doesn't match up. They're gonna cling on to this belief because they're so insecure that they need somebody to tell them this is the truth. No, this is the truth. This is the truth. This is the truth. And if you say it with enough conviction, they're not going to argue. You see? This is how you become a dictator. You want to become a dictator? Just do that. You want to build a cult following? That's how you do it. You just say things with absolute conviction. And people will follow. Why? Because people are so incapable of thinking for themselves. Because life is too complex, and they're confused. So if somebody's there and has a consistent message, this is how it is. This is what it's like. This is what it's like. This is what it's like. They're gonna love that, and they're gonna be your loyal followers. That's how it's done. But that's not reality. It's not truth. Truth is complex, always. Or rather, the world is complex. Truth is rather simple, but the world is complex. So how you navigate the world is different from this, that. It's not black and white. It's not positive, negative. There's always a gray area. So you have to learn holistic thinking. You choose beliefs, choose philosophies, you choose even emotions according to the situation and the outcome that you want. Boom. Example that I gave you. Example is what would be an example? I mean, there's so many different examples I could give you. In communication with another individual, that could be something that you could use. Okay, so you could either clash with them. Okay, you have an opinion, they have an opinion. Boom, start clashing with them, right? Now, if you don't care about the outcome, you can definitely do that. If it's not important for you to get along with that person, you can tell them to go fuck themselves. Absolutely. You don't have to change. But what if that person has something, needs something, does something that you need to get? Then you adjust and you take a different approach. There are people that are very external and there are people that are very internal. Okay. The difference between the two is an internal individual is very self-directed. They have their own values and ideas, and they don't really care about what other people say. Then there are people that are very external, and those external people are dependent on feedback from the outside world. They constantly need feedback in order to know how well they're doing. The internal person doesn't care what the outside world says. They know they're doing well or they're doing bad depending on their own internal values. The other person is external, and they need an external um, validation. Yeah. So if when two internal individuals come together and they start clashing because they will clash, yeah, one has that conviction, the other one has that conviction, they will start clashing. At that point, one of the people that is internal naturally could change their model of reality, be like, okay, what if I become a little bit more external? When I become a little bit more external, at that point, that person feels the internal person will start feeling validated, and then um, we can create rapport, and then that other person is going to be able to be influenced by me. Okay, now that's maybe not the best example I could give you, but generally speaking, you should be able to adjust your beliefs, your worldview, and your approach depending on the outcome that you want. Yeah, that has nothing to do with being not truthful. That has nothing to do with being dishonest. Nothing, because dishonest would be if you or negative would be if you would cause harm. If your intention would be to cause harm, as long as your intentions are good and pure, there's nothing wrong with that. Yeah, there's nothing wrong with that. It's just that you're the superior philosopher at that point. You're superior at that point. You understand things. It's basically um, if you're dealing with a shark can only attack you. A shark's not going to negotiate. A shark isn't going to create weapons. Is not able to create tools, right? But what makes us superior, or what makes us dominate the animal kingdom? It's we have the ability to build tools. We can adjust to the situation. We can. It's cold out there. I don't have to grow fucking hair. I can build clothes and carry them on my skin to not freeze to death. You see them? If it's too hot, I can build shelter that creates a shadow so that I'm not that hot. You know, I can build tools that replace claws. You know, the claws of a tiger are much more sharp than mine, but I have the ability to create tools that are sharper than any tiger's claws. You see what I mean? So this is intelligence. This is what we call intelligence. Now, intelligence is not just what we use for like physical objects. Intelligence is also something that you can use when it comes to ideas, philosophies, emotions, and your worldview. And when you're able to do that, you're playing the real game. This is the real game. Okay, we beat the animal kingdom by being able to build physical tools, obviously. But you're at war with with other people in the mind. Do you get that? It's a mental game that we play as humans. Our evolution is going on in the mind. So you have to have superior tools, superior mental tools in order to win that game. Now the good thing is that most people are complete amateurs at that game. Mentally, most people are complete amateurs when it comes to this stuff. But this is one of the secrets, holistic thinking. Being able to think holistically will allow you to thrive. This mental chess game that we're all playing.